Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of CLR, Criminal Lawyer Reacts, where I'm a board-certified criminal defense lawyer and I react to rap videos, news of the day, and today we're talking about Lontrell Williams, aka Pooh Shiesty. Mr. Shiesty, or Mr. Williams, was recently arrested or turned himself in on a warrant that they had from an incident that occurred at the King of Diamonds in Miami, Florida. What happened was he was at a club. Apparently, according to reports, he had some money that was falling out of his pocket, and his gun went off when he pulled it. There's a dispute as to whether or not he actually shot at the security officer or the security guard at the club, or whether it was an accidental discharge. So he was recently in court on the 9th of June, just a couple days ago, and I want to play the court hearing. Now, you're going to see him in this video wearing a green Velcro suit, and that suit is a protective suit, normally for somebody who's got mental health problems or on suicide watch. So I find it interesting that he's in court wearing only, when you wear that vest, that's all they put on you. He's got no clothes underneath it, no shirt or pants or anything like that. And usually it's a protective measure to make sure somebody doesn't hurt themselves. So we're going to play this, and this is his initial bond hearing with the judge, and it's Judge Mindy Glazer, and he's got two lawyers, and then there's the prosecutor. So let's play a little bit of this, and we'll react to it. Now, right here, the judge is reading the arrest warrant and to figure out what his history is. He's already out on bond on another case. He's out on bond from a matter that happened in October. We'll talk about that towards the end of this video. You see he's handcuffed there. He's got the vest on. And I don't have any information as to why he's got that vest on, but that's something you should take note of.
Okay, I've had a chance to review the arrest warrant. Any argument, counsel?
Yes, Judge. Thank you, Judge. Judge, if you notice in the police report or the A form, it definitely isn't probable cause, in my opinion, for aggravated battery with a firearm. There's no intent shown in that.
Now, that's Pooh Shiesty's lawyer talking, and he's talking about probable cause. And now, if you watch some of my prior videos, you know what probable cause is. It's a very low standard, just more likely that a crime is committed than not. And he's saying that there isn't even probable cause to hold him on this. But it's not a probable cause hearing. It's a hearing to determine whether or not he gets out on bond.
In that document, there's no words that were said. There's no pointing of the firearm at anyone. Essentially, what the document says and what the witnesses said on that day is that the defendant was being escorted out of the club. He reached for his pockets, looking for money in his pockets. A weapon was pulled and it was fired.
Reaching for money in his pockets and a weapon was pulled. What's the difference? If you're going for a weapon, you're going for a weapon. When you make an argument in court, it's got to seem credible.
Ground, and after it was fired at the ground, allegedly the ricochet or whatever happened was one of the either security guards or an employee of the club was struck in his ankle. Certainly, it doesn't show up any intent to injure that individual. I think it looks to me like an accidental discharge, but even if we stepped it up from an accidental discharge and said it was some sort of reckless discharge, it still wouldn't have the probable cause to charge him with an aggravated battery with.
Now, an accidental discharge would be a good defense on a case like that. And I think he probably has a decent defense because if there's no intent to actually fire the weapon, it's not an assault.
Firearm. There's no witness that says at least even a word that the individual would say, you know, like, hey, I'm about to do something, or something to demonstrate some kind of intent other than an accidental discharge.
You don't need words to form intent. All you need is you can have actions can infer intent.
It doesn't appear that there was anything that would have prompted some sort of intent from the defendant.
Okay. All right, so let me hear from the state.
Judge, the state disagrees with that version of the facts. I mean, this is pretty clear from the arrest warrant. What happened here was the defendant was angry because the victim in this case, who was a security guard, told him to put away his gun. He then grew angry. He pointed the gun at him and shot him. The victim specifically states in the arrest warrant that he had to.
Now, you see to the right, you see Mr. Williams or Mr. Shiesty shaking his head. I hate it when our clients do that because, and the judges hate it when you do that. The only reason I hate it when they do that is because the judge will admonish, you know, control yourself, blah, blah, blah. But he's not doing it too bad, but he's, it's just something to watch for.
Out of the way, he was directly shooting at him. The only reason he got shot in the ankle was because he jumped out of the way at the last minute. This happened in front of a club full of people. There's video of the defendant with the gun in his hand. He has a prior pending open case right now where he's also with a gun and 2 people were shot. So, Judge, we're going to be asking for no bond on this.
And Judge, if I may, I'm not sure if you're reading the narrative from when the first police officer went out and took statements. But the first police officer that went out and took statements, it clearly says that he shot into the ground. There's nothing in the first statement that says anything about that he pointed it at anyone. And I don't know what the follow-up is, because all we have is the narrative, the police report narrative, that specifically says that there was something about money that fell out of his pants, and there was a witness, his name, I won't mention his name, but he advised security staff that he escorted the individual out, and the individual had a firearm out and shot towards the ground. That's what the independent witness states.
Yeah, Judge, and this is Sam Zain on behalf of Mr. Williams.
So what's going on here is basically they're trying to get bond. And whenever you argue for bond, there's 2 things that the court takes into consideration. There's the risk of flight, and in this case there was an arrest warrant, about a week passes, and then he turns himself in. So there's probably not a risk of flight because he's there in court of his own accord. But then there's also danger to the public. So those are the 2 things that the judge looks at.
2 points of clarification here. The alleged victim sustained a gunshot wound to the ankle. I don't know how you survive getting hit in the torso by jumping out of the way and get shot in the ankle. And that's buttressed by the fact that the original witness said that the firearm was discharged towards the floor. That's the first point. The second point is that the allegations of the previous case, two people were shot, but
I
Mr.
remember, Mr. Zhang, I remember.
Is not the shooter. Correct, Judge. This is a bondable offense. If there are issues with bond, it should be addressed by the court, the circuit court judge with regards to the first case. Aggravated battery with a firearm is not a non-bondable offense. Just so the court knows that we've been in communication with the government. We surrendered Mr. Williams to Metro-Dade Detective Soto yesterday at TGK. We self-surrendered him. He wasn't arrested out and about as a fugitive on the run. We self-surrendered him just like we did last time. He's not a flight risk, and we believe we're reasonable.
And when you go on and on, you know, nobody's arguing that he's a flight risk. So it's really not an argument that needs to be gone over and over. And you could tell by the judges kind of, I know, you know, I mean, so it's just interesting to watch the dynamics.
The standard bond's appropriate in this case, Judge.
And Judge, if I may add to that, I mean, this is we've let defense counsel know that he was supposed to turn himself in last week. We gave him the opportunity. They didn't turn him in. He, as far as we were concerned, was a fugitive for the last week. The arrest warrant was signed apparently I believe it was on Tuesday or Wednesday. They've been looking for him, and they.
But he's here now. I mean, that's the prosecutor making an argument that there is a risk of flight, but but he did turn himself in.
Several times where he was supposed to turn him in, they canceled.
He's here
so again,
now.
Judge,
What's the
yes, Judge.
This is an aggravated battery. He's entitled to a bond. The standard bond is $10,000, and that's what I'm setting. The $10,000 bond with the hold for the division judge. Case number, hold him for case number F20-14135B. And you'll see your judge tomorrow at 9 a.m. All right?
Thank you.
One other thing, I need to stay away from the
Ruben.
victim. Whoa, what's this victim's name or initials? Is it X?
So whenever they issue a bond, the court can impose other conditions. They can impose conditions like no use of alcohol, no use of drugs, random testing. And in this case, the judge is going to order a no contact. You can't have any contact with the alleged victim in the case. I don't call them victims. I call them accusers.
The alleged victim, Sam, come on.
Can I have the...
See, I don't even say alleged victim. I just say accuser. I like the word accuser much better.
The name of the initials of the alleged victim are what?
FD, Judge.
Oh, I have it here. Thank you. I didn't see it. You're ordered to stay away from the victim whose initials are FD. No contact with this victim either directly, indirectly, in person, in writing, by telephone, or through third parties. And you must stay 500 feet away from his home, school, and place of employment at all times. You want me to order him to stay away from this club as well?
Yes, Judge.
Stay away from the King of Diamonds establishment at 7020 Northwest 72nd Avenue in Miami. So while this
Judge,
case is pending, you can't go there. Yes?
Judge, can you also tell Sam to stay away from there as well?
So I do kind of like this. One of the things you do in court, there's some camaraderie that goes on and ribbing and good-natured. And what the defense lawyer just did here is ask the court to have the prosecutor stay away from this strip club.
She doesn't have jurisdiction for that, Judge.
You have good lawyers. This is a serious matter, and you're going to see the division judge tomorrow. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
So that is the court hearing that was held on the 9th. Then on the 10th, he went to go see the division judge. And the division judge, on the other case that he had from October, he's held without bond on that case. So let's take a look at the video of the October case. So let's break this down just a little bit before we do that. Mr. Shiesty is actually looking at two separate gun cases, two separate aggravated robbery. Well, one's an aggravated robbery / aggravated assault case where somebody was shot. Two people were shot. That was the one in October. And then he's got this more recent one where a security guard was shot, and might have a colorable defense of accidental discharge in the more recent case. But let's take a look at the video from the October case that the judge then later ordered him held without bond. So on October 20th, Mr. Shiesty and his crew pull into this parking lot, and they're in very high-end cars. Mr. Shiesty is in the Maybach, then we have a McLaren, and then another very high-end car. And people get out of the car, and some gun violence ensues. So let's take a look at this, and we'll talk about it right afterwards. You see the one guy gets shot in the ass, and then they all take off. It happens fairly quickly, and you have to really break this video down, in a very slow fashion. The McLaren pulls up, and then the Maybach pulls up. They all get out. And then you can see there's a guy firing over on the right-hand side of the screen, another guy getting shot over here on the left-hand side of the screen, and then they wind up getting taken to the hospital, if you can see that. So that is the incident that we're talking about from October 2020. So what happened in court on the 10th was, so when you're, and he was out on bond on that case. So he's got 2 gun cases, right? And so when you're out on bond on one case and then you get charged with a new offense, ostensibly you've violated your conditions of release on the first bond. So a division judge had to look at that a second time because he has a new case and he violated his conditions. Well, if you violate your conditions, the judge has the authority then to revoke your conditions, and that's exactly what he did in this case. He ordered him held without bond. I don't know what all the witnesses are saying in this incident from October 2020, so I don't know what his chances are on that case. It seems like he might have a shot at an accidental discharge, unless there's some other witnesses that kind of put more color onto why he pulled that gun in the King of Diamonds. So we won't be hearing from Mr. Shiesty anytime soon. We don't have a trial date yet for the October matter, and he's going to be held without bail, so he'll be sitting in jail until his court date. So this has been a little case update on Pooh Shiesty, and aka Lontrell Williams, and he's looking at a boatload of time. I got conflicting reports. I think he's looking at a 20-year mandatory minimum, but I'm not sure. And he's got, I don't see that he's got any prior criminal history that would prohibit him from a firearm. However, if you are out on bond and have a pending criminal matter, you're not allowed to possess a firearm. So there may be something there coming to. We don't know. Anyway, so this has been an update on Pooh Shiesty. This is Bruce Rivers, CLR, Criminal Lawyer Reacts. And if you're watching this, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and if you feel so inclined, help us out with the Patreon. Thank you very much.